Alrighty, I'm back. It's been about a week since I made a video, I think. Mainly because I was waiting for this radiator. The guy took a week because he also like fixes snow plows, and he really couldn't get to me, and he wasn't in the right mindset. Then he told me, weld this, cut off, because basically what I was doing, and I'll show you what I did with this in a minute. He said, cut off these brackets so that I can weld them on. It'll be quicker. Blah blah blah. And if you know Darge darts, these are on the opposite side. So this one was over here and this one was over here. So I cut them off and I slipped and I made a little mess up over here, and I straightened it out. You can barely tell there's something wrong there, but just in case the grinding wheel caught that, I'm going to put this aluminum bond just to nip it in the butt, just in case. Obviously this type of stuff happens when you do custom stuff, and I'm not like a super showman, whatever. And this guy's not like a super, welder as far as showmanship of the work. It's just functional. So that's basically what he did. He took it off here and put it here. Took the piece, put it here, and welded it. And then he welded it on the sides here. He said some of it really wasn't welding too well for some reason. It got bounced around a lot. That's why it looks worse on camera than it does. But I went through a couple of stages as far as mounting it, because I didn't know exactly what I was doing yet because I knew it was close, but you can't even remotely mock it up until you have these brackets. And I knew I had to make the brackets the opposite way. And if I made the brackets flush with this, it would be more closer to stock. But I kind of had a feeling I might have to run the AC lines through there. But I just discovered a new thing I'll tell you in a minute. But ultimately this keeps it square. He still welded one on a little bit off, but the aluminum bends very easy, so it's not really an issue. I originally had, I got this universal AC condenser, and ultimately this is the way it's going to go. I took one of these brackets and I bent it. That's a little more the way it's supposed to be, and I got these things. You see there's a hole down there and I have a hole up there, because originally I was going to have this on top of where the radiator, because it overlaps here, so it looked kind of ridiculous. At first it didn't, because I wasn't even looking at that, but it actually pokes its head through quite high, and then there's a big open space on the bottom, like at least 3 fingers, and you can see the engine go straight through. Along with all the other problems, I'm anticipating that hopefully aren't a big deal, which I also mocked them up, and it shouldn't be too bad. I just might have to go with an electric fan all the time. I got electric fans, but I was originally going to put them on this only, Not 100% sure yet exactly what I'm doing. What else? Because I bought one style of electric. I probably should have bought a trinary switch instead of just a binary switch. And I'm not sure which way I'm going yet. I was thinking about having 2, and then I bought this fan control system, but it's an electronic fan control thing that can vary the speed, and I think it varies the speed, but it varies the temperature, and it can add the AC circuit to it. So I found that all enticing. I just don't know if it's going to really shut it off. So if I put 2 separate switches in loop when it's low and the fan doesn't come on, because it'd be better if the fan didn't come on if it was too much in either way, or if the high side really didn't call for it. So that's one thing. So I'm going to epoxy that, but I'm going to have to probably make up for this space right here, which is just shy of 1 inch. So I only have 1 inch spacers, so that'll put it right back about where it was, maybe out a little bit. And now I should totally missed a support bracket, because originally I had it down here. Like I said, when I test fitted, there's a bar that goes across here, and this bar was concerning to me because I didn't want to hack it up, so now I'm able to go above the bar, but because I'm farther forward from it, it's not going to be an issue, but it's still going to be under the bar, because now I made the radiator lower. So this kind of hangs out in that area, I guess I can make a video actually test fitting it so you can actually see what I mean. All right, so this is the way I originally wanted to set it up, plus, 1/4 inch. It's just hanging by this right now. And it seems like a no-brainer because I don't have to space it out as much. The radiator doesn't go closer to the fan. You can see I have quite a bit of room for the fan, like this. But I mean, obviously, you know, it's another thing. But I'll get to. But you see, I had these holes here, which they were partially already there, and it really wasn't that easy to set them up. They were still not right. Ends up being, it was like 24 3/4. It was really 24 7/8. So doing this seems like a great idea. It does seem a little bit high when you look at the engine, but then the thing is, I took off this thing here because I realized that the grill comes out from the front. I was like, oh, this is great. But now it's like, to me, it's a pretty big space under there, but there's still only so far you can go because it starts to curve there. So I probably could have gone down 2 inches, and the problem with going down 2 inches is still the AC condenser. You know, it might have been okay to do it, but yeah, I'll just show you. Like when I come down here, it doesn't go down as far as you would think. Yeah, see, it only goes down there. So yeah, that was the problem. It wasn't 2 inches. I couldn't, like, it looks like I can go down 2 inches, but I really can't. So if that's level, let's say, I had to go up a little bit from here. And you can see now, this hole, the new holes I made will look like they're a lot closer to the original holes. And, you know, I don't know if I could have gotten away with 3/4. I don't think so. I shaved the edge of the bracket down because it was close there. So everything is seemingly better. It seems to be sticking out more on this side than this side. Or it's just an optical illusion. Probably optical illusion. All right, so now when this is all the way down, now at least I'm going to have this. I think this is a good thing to have this here. I could probably put it lower. It's probably not a big deal. It's only because I was actually utilizing the ceiling part for the AC condenser. It's going to be up a little higher now, the AC condenser. Actually, well, higher in relation to this. It's still going to be in the exact same place. But there's that bar that I was talking about right there. So I can't go higher than that bar. Now, because it's going forward, it's actually not really an issue. It's because if it's an inch, that those AC condensers are not really that thick. And now that I do that, I'm thinking it's not going to be an issue now because it was very close. It was actually putting a couple of marks in it with the horns. And then I was trying to unscrew the horn, and it's like a nut and bolt, and I'm like, man, what a pain. So it's just one of those things, you know. So I may have to move the horn, maybe not, but I don't think so. And the other good thing is when the AC lines come here, I just realized I got a hole going straight through here because I was going to put these 90-degree adapters, and so it's like the Freon has to go sharply, which is fine. It's not really a big deal, but then I would have to put these lines going up, and if I put them up, then I come up through here, and then up and around, and then to here, and I honestly like the way that might look better, but it's not set in stone. At least, you know, I can go the other way, and the good news is I can also just get access here, because the other thing is perhaps I can turn it and then make it come back up through there, because it's such a pain in the neck when I was trying to do it the other way. Once I removed this grill, it became like so much more evident. I have a lot more room, a lot more ability to make this mix work without having to struggle. So this is up against here now, so that'll be square with the spacers in there, but it might be out another 1/4 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch. It's looking really good. Now, this is a Camaro hose that I cut some off the top here, okay? And it's got to kind of go up and around. It's a little sharp right here, but if I go down here, I kind of don't trust it. I may have to still cut more off, but if I go, obviously, up, and see now what happens is I made it an inch longer, but still that can go, when that goes on, I don't think it's not going to be an issue, but this is the front end part here, dragline, and right now I have it, where am I touching? Right here. So that guy swoops and it cuts in. So I was really scared because when it's at this point, see the wheels are turned all the way to the right for the most part. So we're halfway to the right. So this will just come out here. Now, the other problem is hitting a fan. If there's a mechanical fan that may hit that. Right now the motor is up a little bit. I just have a piece of wood holding it in the back. But ultimately this is not really going to be an issue. Sorry, my phone keeps getting hit with something. Ultimately, I'm not sure about the hose. I don't know if I cut it too much now. But ultimately, I'm pretty happy with this because I realize where it goes. Like I said, it's just a matter of the fan hitting. And I'm still looking at this, and the mechanical fan looks awfully low for the radiator. So it does have to tilt up. It might just be marginal, but it might be just better to put an electric fan. Yeah, here's my bomb hit my garage setup. Got the tranny all resealed. I'm still waiting for the speedometer to come in. I got the gear, but the housing is a different housing. I got the new cable on, and I bought this one. It's from a later 90s, and it's going to work. It's going to fit in there, you know. I don't have the seal in there yet. But you see, it attaches to the back of the head. I didn't know that, because I thought because it was a 3.8 and it has the same basic tranny, but it attaches to the motor. Now, I don't know if the original one attached to the motor or attached to one of the tranny bolts. I have a feeling it attached to one of the tranny bolts, which I would have preferred. But this is fine, and it's nice and long. You know, this is a girl owning this, and it's a locking one. So it's going to go, it's going to lock, and she's going to be able to pull that out because it's going to be halfway over the motor, hopefully. I don't know yet now until I get it in. If not, I got to buy it. And people are asking a lot of money for a lot of this shit. So as it is, this was like $40 delivered, which was a good price. It was $25 plus shipping. But they want like $60 plus shipping. It's because $90 with a you know, for a dipstick, you know. I just think that's ridiculous, you know. But, you know, if it attaches to the back of the head, I probably just could have bought a universal one for, you know, what is it, 20, 30 bucks, and it comes with a little bracket that you can swivel and pivot it, but I don't particularly care for those, you know. I like it to bolt really to the engine, but it's looking good. As far as the, I'm going to retest fit this with the thing in. I got to get some studs for at least the bottom bolts on there, but I might do all studs. I bought too long of studs. I bought bolts, and I bought too long of bolts. I tried to turn them into studs. It wouldn't work. And then I put, see what I did here. I put the bracket. Those brackets are adjustable there, but I put a solid weld on either side. They have their own spacers, and then those lines will come out the side there on that grill. A fan can go in front of it. What else was I doing? Yeah, I don't know if I went through this. I got the right pulley for this. You can see there's a huge space between this. It makes all the difference. You want your belts to line up. And I took off the fan shroud, the fan clutch here. It ends up being the fan clutch I got was the wrong one. It was a non-AC one. But like I said, that might be a moot point now. I still got to put the oil housing on. That's the gasket for it. I had to find an O-ring that would work. And I was doing it in between pulling the motor in and out. I don't think I'm going to pull the motor out again. I don't think it's worth it, you know, to keep playing with it, because I can't put the motor in the back of the trailer anyway. It seems to be okay. I guess the only problem I'll have is maybe putting the steering box in. Not sure if that's really a problem or not. Oh, and I got I was going to just buy metal. I actually had this from like a Nova that somebody gave me. It's blowtorch though, and it's going to take a lot to get that to go. Like I said, I'm not that great of a welder, but in the end I got one of these, it says engine transmission. It's universal transmission, 26 to 36, and this one should be 26. So it should be right there. And it's going to have the typical, you know, GM mount in the middle. So you just, you know, and then I bought a rivet gun that has the threads on it. So because it's a whole box steel chassis. So I was thinking about putting the rivets in. That way the screws just go straight in. I'm a little indifferent to it. I just don't want the rivets to come out and then you can't get the bolts out. But otherwise, you got to drill through and you got to put spacers in and whatnot. And I just don't think it needs to be that tough, you know. So ultimately, you know, there's other holes in the body. I could technically put nut and bolt. We'll see, you know. But it's all things said, it's coming out pretty good. Just like I said, the steering is going to be another step. I got a different shifter coming in because I don't like the way the first shifter works, and the other shifter, I didn't want it to be like the last one where I had to play with getting reverse lights to work. Not that she has any, but I wanted to maybe add them. It'd be interesting to add them. I'm even thinking about these little guys here, turning them into reverse lights, so it doesn't take away from the car's originality, kind of thing. Because I put similar reverse lights like the other car had, and it's basically going to be like a Camaro shifter with a cable, because it'll be correct, and then it'll be easy to put the electric to wherever I want to put it to. It'll be easy to put a neutral safety switch. It'll be easy to just screw it to the floor, and then I'll make something that looks hopefully 50s. I'm not sure yet. Not sure exactly what I'm doing with the surrounding part, and I bought all these different things for the stick shift lever, even though it's not a stick shift, just for the lever of the stick. And I want it to come down where you can reach it and push down the whole thing, as opposed to hit the button, so a lot of good things are happening. I have a lot of good ideas, and I got a Mustang thing. Hopefully I can use it with this, and I gotta still eliminate this guy, and maybe in the future you'll get power brakes or something like that, but I think it would be more involved to put the whole bracket with the whole thing up with the thing coming out the dashboard, as opposed to the other way underneath the floor. You might as well just do it all then, because there is some room here, but I got the speedometer coming here, or this might be the speedometer. This I can't remember which is which. This one, oh no, this is the emergency brake cable. This is the speedometer. So it's kind of nice to not play with that too much, so it kind of gets in the way. But if there's a bracket and it goes around it, and like maybe use it up here with this hole here for whatever that is, something like that could work, something along those lines. Or just in general, if there's a bracket, I can maybe make a hole. I don't know. We'll see. And I got to do some wiring, only because of the transitional over, and I'm thinking about making it so I can just unplug, because I just did a motor on a Subaru, and I like that idea. And it's something I was originally thinking about, to adapt it to original wiring, at least for now. And but I got to find something that has heavier wiring, because it matters, So getting there. Got a lot of ideas, at least. Oh, and I just made it livable in here too. That was the other thing with the snow coming. The snow came, and I got these seals I put on. They stick on, and I actually melted them together. And of course, there's some holes, but it's so much better than it was. I had to double it up here because whoever put this garage door in was a moron. This side's a little bit better, but I got to caulk like these areas here and shit, go all the way around just to seal it up even more. And I put a couple of seals on the bottom, one overlapping the other, but probably need a third one. So I bought more, but I was really using it for the car. But if there's any left over, I said, maybe we'll do at least this side garage door, because it's pretty bumpy here between the concrete and everything. But I gotta make it a little bit easier now. At least when I'm in there, I should be warm. Out here, I can't help it, but oh well. All right, I think we have success. It's totally missing it now by a good, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, where it was kissing it before. It went under this guy, this bracket here. It's about the same level, actually. So before, it really wasn't. It's actually hitting it more so now than it was, because of the nature of everything. What's up there? Anyway, you got this guy here a lot closer down, but still there's a space, but it's not nearly that bad. I can put more foam. I only had foam stuck to the bottom here like that, and it was hard to get it off, so I just left it. And I had different foam, but it didn't seem like it was really the right stuff for it, But it's fine. And that extra 1.25 inches makes a difference. I really can't go down anymore. I put a little rubber seal here. That worked out well. And I got the 6 spacers, 1-inch spacers, so like I said, it's pretty much 1 inch. That's what this seal ends up doing, protects it and whatnot, and now this hose is going to be in a better place as far as I'm concerned when this goes on, because it's kind of turned and it's like not really turned in the right way. When you force it on, it actually makes it pretty far out of the way, so it's not on all the way. And this might need to be turned, but it pretty much, this guy here ducks under here, and I'm pretty sure without hitting it, And being there's an angle here, if I put it on more, it may like really miss it big time. This is still kinked, so I'm not sure with the hose yet, you know, but ultimately this guy goes on more. It's kind of fighting, so obviously you don't want to kink, but usually when it heats up it's fine. And I guess I can put a jack under there, under the car, and try to move it. That appears to be all the way on. I just don't know if over here, it doesn't feel like it's kinked. You know, this is a little sharp over here, obviously. It's not really sharp, but the hose should be able to take it. But you could I could put a thin piece of sheet metal and use this bolt to anchor it, so it's a smooth area there, as opposed to grinding it, you know. But I think this should work, and it's pretty much what needs to be done as far as, you know, I'm pretty sure when that heats up, it kind of conforms more. But this guy goes over here, because that's what the steering box is. And like I said, the only thing I'm worried about is the fan. So let's try to check those two out. Okay, so there's our hose. That's our front end piece. I don't know what you saw, but oh, I was like, that sounded funny, like I did something wrong. So I didn't even think about this, because that would be disaster, kind of. Probably not, it just needs to be trimmed out, but I was like, is it me or did it hit the motor mount? No. Yeah, lights on, it's just, lights on, it's just not great lighting. So, this should be where the hose is. So, let's see, where's that? Go for the hose. It misses it there, right there. Oh shit, did I move it? There's gotta be a better way. Yeah, so I don't see the hose moving when I do that. And this drag link is totally like the wrong way, but let me see something. No, it's not hidden. I was worried it was touching my creation here. Guess I can bring it back a little bit. It starts to pull away in the other direction, just like in the front where it just misses the hose. Right there, I just brought it closer. I mean, I guess you could say that's pretty close, but you know, close. Yeah, let's say close but no cigar. I hate when my phone automatically shuts off. Oh, I'm gonna touch something. Yeah, if anything, I have to grind out a little bit of that metal there, because now don't forget that that's off. You know they're both set forward. It seems like it misses. I'm such a good engineer. I wouldn't have even thought about it unless it hit, you know, but right there, like you can see, it's awfully close. So whether I gotta invert that bolt around if that's an issue, which I can't because I put that stupid plate there to make it easier. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but don't forget this drag link goes this way. Now I think I'm tucked underneath the wrong way where I don't want to be. I'm not quite sure what ended up under the oil pan, I think. So, I mean, this guy is supposed to follow that path. It's like on this side, it's like not even close, and it's not even close to the hose. But I mean, obviously, I couldn't have that hose any lower. I took like ½ inch off that hose, at least maybe 3/4 of an inch. That would have been a little close. You just don't want it to keep rubbing. You know, things get hot, they start expanding. That's pretty neat how everything's working out. Very happy about this. Awesome. Okay, now I got the wheel turned the other way, and that's the farthest it goes. Pretty much goes the same angle going that way, so it kind of follows a straight line. But as it goes in, it only comes out like 3 inches, and then it gets the closest is when the wheel is centered. So now here's the fan. Now, granted, I have all these nuts in the fan, but the fan goes right there. I think that's a little too close for comfort. I'm going to have to take off all these nuts and try it, because going inwards now, unless I have some kind of spacer, maybe with a mechanical fan, but that looks, where am I here? That looks awfully close to the front end part right there. So, and the Jeep was always a small fan because it only has like a 12-inch high radiator, you know. So, and also the fan does seem on the low side. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of silly at this point to put a mechanical fan. It's just not going to work. And, you know, there's some things you got to prepare for. You know, I could probably put if I made a shroud, which I don't want to do, because I was actually looking for a fan that was already have, you know, a fan in it, you know, a shroud that has a fan in it already. So I got to keep looking, but it's a weird size. Even though like I order for a Dart, it keeps saying it's an extra inch, because I think it overlaps, but it could be the brackets. But if I order it and it's not right, then that's going to suck. But I think I don't have a choice right now. I'm going to have to get something like that. Oh, I took out the plugs for those radiators, and it's basically the GM style ones. I thought it was just going to be a, what do you call it? I thought it was going to be a, you know, a pipe thread where if to put the adapters, you don't need the adapters. They go straight in. Just like most of the Mopar ones, they come out with the other threads, you know. So, but it looks good. It's sitting straight, and it's not. It was kind of ridiculously high and over. So rather than doing that, this looks, you know, a lot better. Granted, you know what, the fan may not hit, because I have to put the jack on, because I got this big piece of wood right there holding up the motor. It's probably best to make a decision on the fan when I have the transmission in. So, but you know, you could tell like the motor is definitely cocked forward. I know it is, you know. So you'd be surprised when you go down a few inches there how much that angle changes, because the fan was close, but now I'm thinking it won't hit at all, you know, because that angle will make a difference, because not only that, it's going to bring it forward, you know. So mechanical fan is still in, but it is low. So I would hate, even though I can wire the fans up to make it work the other way, they're not as efficient. It's really only meant for the AC at that point. And, you know, I just installed this whole thing, and I'm like, I really should have made a bracket for the fan anyway. But then again, if I put a fan here, I really don't need those two fans. The one fan does everything. You know, it's kind of senseless to do it any other way. Because one fan is going to block another fan. They can fight each other. Yeah, but I'm happy right now. I think a lot of good things progressing. A lot of things are meant to be, like this bump in this hose. I just think is outrageous. It's for a Camaro, but it works here. And like I said, I can just make a nice smooth piece of maybe stainless, if I can find it, and shape it out of some sort. It's looking good, I must say. And the hose may get affected too by going down in the back, but I can jack up the motor and, but every time that's why I want to put the training, because every time I jack up the car, the motor changes, so having the piece of wood there keeps it solid, but it's not really at the right angle that I'm looking at, that I need. Oh, so I think a lot got done. So we're messing with it for an hour. This original cross member is just totally in the way. Even though I have the engine kind of in the right place, the training looks like it's going to be right. Right now it's on an angle, and the engine is straight, but the whole training has to go this way. As you can see, there's a space up there. But it needs to go forward even at this point when the engine is pretty straight, and this is no matter what, the pan is in the way. I thought maybe you'd be right in the middle of it. And the bigger problem is the torque converter won't go in. So after the torque converter wouldn't go in, I knew this had to come down, but I'm really thinking about just cutting it and then welding something from there. I just don't have a feeling this is really doing anything. It's tying it in, I get it, but so will my new, cross member. So I'm a little skeptical of cutting it, but I really can't see too much harm coming to it, because I'm sure the car will jack up and everything, with it unbolted. The problem is unbolting it. There's this whole contraption here with the brake pedal and the thing here. So I just figured I'd just hack it. And the worst case scenario is I make a new bracket that's welded to it that, even if I have to remove it in the end and weld it on the bench, I think it's going to be fine. I'm not 100% sure. I'm also debating if I should just make something instead, go back here for the training mount, because it wouldn't be so far-fetched, but I'm still funny about that. I don't know how good my welds are for that. There's actually a lip here. I don't even have to buy the expensive cross member I bought, because you can kind of just hang on that lip. So I don't see it being too big of a deal, even if I hung it on the lip and put the bolt, metal underneath the flat here and bolted it from both sides, just like that's bolted on both sides, So, more problems. All right, it's been a long couple of days making something here, but ultimately I had this piece of cross member. I know it looks shitty, but it's strong. It's not going anywhere. I've got like 5/16 angle iron over there. I got 2 bolts and nuts holding it there. Because you see, you got this heater here, and this is here, and it's got to find a way. And this kind of gives a little path for exhaust to go through. And since I had to cut that, this is as strong as it's going to be, I guess, Right now, the back of the car jacked up. I'm still trying to figure out drive shaft angles, although it seems like I got it in the right place. Movement in those bolts right there, and I guess I got a longer one if I had to make it more, but it seems to be correct. But, ultimately, I don't know if I got this engine up higher, mainly because of the harmonic balancer was close to that front end part, if you remember. And it almost seems like this is on a slight angle, but this might be on an angle itself, this whole thing, because when I try to put a level to it, as far as, hang on a second, as far as this way, it's level now with the back of the car up at least 2 to 3 inches from the front. So if it's level now, then that should be level in order to make it straight. And it's close, but it's really not, I'm pointing at that. So it's almost like I got to have a U-joint here and a U-joint here, but it might be okay. I don't know. I was thinking about cutting the drive shaft just to get it in the general area. So when the guy does the drive shaft, if I bolt the drive shaft in with it cut, because it's way too long right now, up to this certain point here, and then he could do the finishing touches when I give him the yoke and everything. At least it'll tell me about where I am. Because when I first glance, it seems like it's one way, then it seems like it's another way, and I'm never quite sure. It seems like it's in the ballpark, but it would be better if it was a one-piece drive shaft, but I just don't think it's going to work. unless I hack this out, and even then it just seemed funny, you know, trying to get that angle over there. So, like I said, these welds came out much better, and you know what? I ran out of welding spool, and I put one that I had, and it seemed to be working a lot better. So that's always something. Harbor Freight, and it's old, you know, but I don't know. Can't be that old. But that's looking good. I guess I should put the nuts and bolts the other way, because I did it over here because I'm like, oh, I want to reach in with a thing. You don't want to, even though this side is plenty, you know, wide. It can go either way on this side, but this side here, if you wanted to get out those bolts, you really couldn't. But you don't ever really have to remove that bracket again, because I put the bolts over there. Same thing with this bracket. It's really not going anywhere, because I'm going to put, I don't want to weld this, you know, because it's too much to get under the brake line and whatnot. So this is just super huge metal here. It's not going anywhere. It's sitting in a corner. The way the original chassis is good. I made sleeves and I put them inside there, so I can you know, tighten them down on the sleeves. And even though this is an odd shape here, I don't know what else to do. I'm still giving myself room to at least do the master cylinder if it had to be done. I don't know about modifications to a master cylinder, because that gets weird. However, it's not on the same. It's not really on the same plane, you know. But usually you put a rod through there, because you use the original master cylinder to mount, and then I can maybe use this thing to mount it somehow, you know. But I'm not doing that now, and something for the hole might be right. But yeah, that got out of hand. It really did, and I was just scared. I didn't want to break, but it's something fish on. It's not really funny. I was able to still get this this thing in, you know. It's a little loose right now, and the accordion hose broke, so I don't even know where to get that. These hoses look original, but only 20,000 miles. It doesn't look bad, even if, by the engine, but I'm probably going to change it all. Not sure yet what I'm doing over there. I really don't know if I need to. But we'll find out. You know, I'm not sure yet, but you know. Welding. So I just, because I haven't taken any things yet, because I bought a cookie cutter, you know, cross member, and it just was not going to work. You have a 4-bolt flange, which the 4-bolt flange can fit there. It can't fit until it's all the way back here. It's so far back, then I just don't see it. You know, it has to be really past the heater in order for it to work. So I mean, it's almost where the drive shaft loop is here. So it's like I'd have to have a hole through it. You know, it's just. I was like, this car is just so different. You know, but I got some really heavy metal here. I just don't think it's going to be an issue. This is an extra piece that I welded onto that, and I have the clamps holding it now. Because when all's said and done, I will drill it in place, tack weld this, and then take the whole thing out of the bench and weld it all the way around. One day I'll get the gas working on the. What else? Yeah, like I said, this weld came out much better, all things considered. But it's going to be pretty cool. This is going to work, you know, at least. And there's room for exhaust, whether it's going to be dual or not. I don't think so. It's going to be single for now, at least whatever I do. Not sure what the owner wants to do, or if they're going to do anything. So that's it. All right. Say, I welded it pretty much like the other side. A lot of weld, you know, but it's definitely penetrated. Just like that, you can hear the ring that it has. You know, it's horrible. Actually, the first layer was kind of good, but then what happens is you weld a little bit, and I start fucking going blind, and then I go off skew. I had another set of glasses that were awesome, and they were $25 on Amazon. and they didn't have that brand, so I bought a different brand. I broke them right away, and then what do you call it? These don't really. I can't see well with them. I don't know if there's too many of these things in there, because the other one had separate ones. It had its own little bag. This thing here was a joke, and I'm not sure how much different it is than the other one, but I basically can't see. The other one I was able to see so well, and because it blocks my eyes from getting burned, but I can't see where I'm going. So what happens is I have these starts and stops, and in between the starts and stops, it's like a hole. So I go over that, and then I got a new hole, and so it's just never ending. But ultimately, I know this is not going anywhere. It's a pretty good penetration, 174 amps, I guess. I guess that's AC. I don't know, but it's made for the flux weld stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up closing off these ends. I don't really think it's necessary, to be honest. I mean, it allows shit to go through there, whether it's wiring or whatever. Not that you can't have wiring permeate through there. So, I don't know. I might just button it up. It may make it that much stronger and less likely to mess with this, but, it's probably not necessary. I'm not sure if I'm going to really do anything with that. I did want to, however, put a little something here because it's hanging on this, I still don't think anything's going anywhere. I think this is quarter inch, not 3/16. It doesn't seem like 3/16. I just don't think it's going to go anywhere. But just in case, for flex purposes. Meanwhile, it's really only holding up the weight of the tranny, but the way the Jeep mounts are in this, it does seem like the engine by itself was hanging down a lot, and I don't know if that's partially because my brackets flex, even though they probably don't really flex as much as I think. It's probably all on the rubber there, so it's looking like it's in the right place. I really hope it is, It does seem like it's higher, I think, than the original engine, and because of that, I might have these drive shaft issues that I'm a little concerned about. And if I'm up, it's like by an inch, because when I'm looking at the hole and the back of the tranny, it looks like the center line is way at the top of that hole. So I'm a little worried about that, and I don't think you can just, force it in, and let the flex of the first joint do anything, because if it has one flex, but it's bolted, if it's bolted on an angle, then maybe, but then the second drive shaft then might have a different angle. You kind of want to, if you're going to go with the two drive shaft thing, you want to go with what's there. So I'm assuming that thing is supposed to be bolted square. So, the hanger, it's weird too. It doesn't really go like you would expect, and there's like zero adjustment. There's really nothing you can do. I suppose you can drill new holes and make it go left or right, but kind of weird, kind of sucky, So it's getting cold. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to finish welding this, because I wanted to put those little pieces there. I don't think I'm going to do anything with the thing. It's really not necessary, to be honest, but I'll see. I love wearing goggles, just not these. Besides the point, they're broken. My face is burnt. Oh, man, but I ended up putting caps on everything, and I put the little angles. It's going to make a difference. And I just figured no mouse can make a nest in there, or just in general, like I can't really paint in there, so it can rust. And ultimately, it's got to be stronger. But I think that's done. I left that off because when I did this one, you can see I made them oblong. That's because it ended up being in the wrong place because I didn't have the bracket mainly bolted on all the way, so I was kind of off. And I really cut that other bracket a little bit on the short side, but it's so heavy, I'm not worried. It's still plenty if you saw the other side of it, where the bolt is located. So I'm not worried at all about that, but if anything, it allows you to push the the whole thing sideways to get it out of the car, you know, and that's why I put those other brackets, so it was more of a flat spot that it can go on and move these guys out. This was pretty challenging. I'm lucky I even had this, because I had bought this just to make it straight across, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I got to do the exhaust. So then I asked him for these brackets here, and I was showing him a G-force thing. He goes, you know, that's not a true angle line. That looks like a heavy square pipe that they cut in half because it has the rounded corners. So I says, yeah, you got something like that? So he gave me the two pieces, and one I kind of messed up because I cut it too short. And then, because like it ends up being, this one was better off longer, where the other piece was shorter, because the pipe that goes here, it was going to interfere, because this hangs down, so it gives it clearance. This one here, it doesn't hit it when it's here, but it was hitting it when it was here. But I cut a little too much off, but it's fine. You know, that didn't bother me at all. But I buttoned this all up. Now it's time to paint it and put it in the car, and then get to the drive shaft and some other things, you know. Up until then, I'm waiting I ordered a conversion joint for the drive shaft, but I'm like I said, I'm a little worried about the drive shaft angles, because it almost seems like this is deliberately on an angle when I'm looking at it. So if that's the case, it's helping me, you know, and it's right where it needs to be then, you know. So I might just do it that way, because I'm not 100% sure, and until I'd have to cut this, because it's so fucking long. I'd have to cut it and then make sure that I ordered a set of these bushings, which are very fucking, you know, you just wedge them in there. So like this thing, these bushings, because they're so far away, they can also flex. So I gather it's okay, and they kind of did it like this on purpose. It's very odd, you know. It's not so cut and dry. You know, I would have rather have something a little more cut and dry. I was trying to get this guy out. I couldn't get him out. I don't know if that's like a big nut that needs to come off first, or it's just in there, you know. But yeah, this one definitely looks like, you know, I could be wrong and it's going in the wrong direction, but I believe this is going down. But then again, this could have flipped. It could go, yeah, because I'm looking at this. Probably new bushings will help me figure out where it is. I mean, it's so, you know, it's just so, not antiquated, but just so lackadaisical how they did this, and apparently it's not too much of an issue. So as long as that other guy, you know, fits in there, you know, after I make the measurement, and hopefully that'll work. But you could see how if this is angled down in the hole and not perfectly flush with the hole, that it could work. But it's just so weird, you know, like it's just not perfection at any means. It goes over these studs with these bigger holes here, and I mean, it looks like it's cocking, you know, so it just figures out its own angle, you know, and I guess because it's 3 U-joints altogether, it's not a big deal. But the other thing is, when this is closer, does it throw something else off, you know? It's all very odd, you know, to say the least. So I think I'm going to have to cut it and bolt this guy back in to get the idea of where it is. And if the U-joint is going to make up for what I got. I sure hope so, because it would make a lot more money. It would play with all this, and it's, you know, in one sense I'm looking at it and it looks like it's on an angle. I don't know if it's bent. It could just be that it's just, you know, I guess. When I look at it from the side, it definitely, yeah, that definitely looks like it deliberately changes the angle. And that's the angle I got. So I'm really hoping, because I thought I was pretty on the money with where it was. It was just a miracle, all things considered. And But I got to figure there's got to be something off a little bit. But it's looking pretty good, you know, all things considered. I just don't think I can just move the cross member and that transmission mount. I had loosened it. It really doesn't move that much. I'd have to elongate the holes in order for that to really move something, you know. So it's a challenge, but you know, I got to get to this point. I'm figuring that no matter what, I can always put shims to go up, and see that this side is underneath. So if I put shims here, that goes down, but this is going to be on top of this guy. So that's odd. That's a little off, you know. Not the what I wanted it, not where I wanted it to be. However, it could probably be, if this was down far enough, this could be flipped on the other side of it. So then what happens is you'll effectively have a space. If this is on top of that now, then it's double. No, it's whatever the thickness of the other one is plus this one. It goes down. I'm not quite sure how I would figure that out, but it would be a lot. It would, because that other thing is 5/16 of an inch. So if it's on top of the 5/16 of an inch, and if you go under the 5/16 of an inch, I don't know if you count the thickness of the metal that you're at. I guess so. You know, where this one you wouldn't, because it's on the same side. So I would, if that's 1/4 inch or 3/16, I think it's 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch plus 5/16 is like almost a 1/2 inch. But it doesn't seem like it would be that much. I'm not 100% sure. Because now it's, you know, now it's bolting from the top part where this was laying on top. So it's ultimately where that thing ends up. You know, if it's here, the bottom is still the bottom. And when you flip it to the other side, the bottom, yeah, it's got to be 1/4 plus 5/16. So it's basically going 9/16 of an inch. Right? 4/16 and 5/16 is 9/16. So I would have to put 1/2 inch spacers on this, you know, at least, and a washer. So it's a little tricky, you know, just to say to do something like that. And then, you know, but I don't think a 1/2 inch going down, no matter what, is going to be a big deal. Because once I go 1/2 inch down, if I know I have to go 9/16 of an inch, let's say, down, then I can always build this up. This going up is not really the problem. They make shims, and even though like a 1/2 inch one would be a little bit excessive, I can just get the round spacers for the bolts. You know what I mean? So, and it may not be terrible to have it kind of cocked, but I don't see how it would be. I think tension on these bolts if it was like that. But I'm happy with the way it came out, I must say. So hopefully I'm talking about stuff that is no big deal. It doesn't even apply, you know, as far as the height and everything. But it really does look like this guy is tilted. So and that's what I was finding strange. And now that I look at it, I didn't even notice it until now. I did notice this bump here, but I didn't realize it was actually meant to shift it. And what happens if I was going to shift it, if I can bend it more, let's say, you know, if I had to. You know, I'm just thinking different things you can do. But I don't know how much it fucks up this angle then, because this angle is supposed to be equal to that angle. And if it's stock, I know this drive shaft is fine. It's really this one. And being this one only has one shaft on it, I just have to match whatever angle is coming out of the back here. But it apparently has been taking a beating over the years. And it doesn't even have that much mileage, this car. You know? None of the U-joints were actually really bad. I lost all the caps. Kept falling off. But it almost seems like this is supposed to be making up for some wild shit. A lot of fucking shit that you wouldn't normally see. Alright, well, I'm going to paint it and hopefully get it bolted back in, although it's getting late. I might just do it tomorrow. But it's going to be really cold the next couple of days, so I wanted to get it done so I don't have to have a jack under the tranny holding it up in the right spot. All right, so that's the final thing. I started earlier today, but I had to fix somebody else's car. And now it's going to be -5 tomorrow, but that's looking pretty good. I put the speedometer thing in, I got that in the mail. And now I put the steering box in. And the exhaust is right there. Ah, this is going to be challenging. And then this is the pitman arm. Is that right? I can't tell if it's on. Yeah. So, I guess this swings here. Oops, sorry. Back and forth here. It's going to be interesting. This is straight on. So, I don't know if this is possible, but I got to make something now that goes this way and then through here. That, I don't know exactly what I'm doing just yet. I may want to try to look for another manifold. I don't think they're any different, though, to be honest. I doubt they would change that on a Camaro, maybe the newer Camaros. So I got to start looking at exhaust manifolds, because if I can get something for 3.1 or 3.4, front-wheel drive even, you know. Don't know if they're much different, but like if it had a center dump, I'm not quite sure where it would end up. I got to, take note of where the ports are here. But if it was, instead of being in between these two, it can't really be in between these two, but if it was on top of this guy, it may not be so bad. But that's unfortunate. Boy. And now I was saying, hey, why did I put this oil filter housing on? Because who knows how that's going to go. So I guess it's a small one that goes here. So this is a problem. But I guess if I can make it go this way, I can make it go this way and then straight down. But I'm going to need some of those mandrel bent 90-degree things. It's not going to be easy. Again, I might be better off with a different exhaust manifold from like a front-wheel drive car, since these were the same. Also, this oil thing, I think for front-wheel drive it came straight down, but I don't know if it's going to work with that motor mount bracket. So, but it also might be different for two-wheel drive. This is, I believe, a four-wheel drive, because it's made to clear the front axle coming through. So I believe it might be different in that sense. So there's a couple of options here. So I'm quite thinking, this just got a little harder for sure. I might as well put this guy all the way on and get that done. I believe I got it on, because I can't go the other way. Because I got the wheel turned all the way, and I turned it all the way around to the one side. So, all right, more things to think about. Okay, weird thing. So I wanted to put new bolts, but apparently they were too long. That's one of the new bolts. I had to change that bolt because it came out even further. But the one on the bottom there, it was still hitting the grease fitting there on the front end part. Where is it? Right here. It was hitting that grease fitting still. First it was cold clocking it sideways, and I couldn't turn the wheel back. But hang on, I gotta put the phone. Okay, so I was not able to get it going back like this. So I didn't even get to the straight part, and I was like, "What? It's bottomed out? What the fuck happened?" But then it was hitting the bolt first, and then it was hitting the grease fitting. So it seems like I'm kind of over tightening the bolts. I'm just like, I'm nailing them down, but the sleeves that are going through the chassis, like the chassis is not very thick, And I noticed that when I did the transmission crossover, because I put bolts going through the sides and I made my own sleeves, and I'm like, wow, this metal is not really thick at all, So what I did this, I put washers and whatnot, and I realize here they're like oval ones. They're oval notches. So like the bolt heads are actually like, I was sitting at home, so like washers. That's an original washer down there because I realized it was like bending way too much. So, and that's an original bolt because that one was hitting first, and then this guy, it was still hitting the threads. And I think it's just because I tightened it, I sent it home more, it bent in a little bit, and it was just catching the grease fittings. So I gotta somehow see if I can make this exhaust work. This is going to be crazy. Okay, so it looks like I got 23 and a half going this way, and then from there to the tires 25. So that's definitely off, and I guess it's very possible this rear drive shaft, because it'll go to the side. It's okay. That's why they always say you can put the engine sideways. But the problem with this is that this is supposed to be kind of dead on. So I'm a little worried. I'm not quite sure how that goes. Like I said, it could be deceiving as far as where the rear end ends up, where the chassis is versus the alignment. And I never took key of where the alignment is, because the dead center of the crankshaft should be dead center of this. And I thought I was measuring correctly when I had originally done everything, but then everything changed with the mount. So I'm just hoping that between the slot and the transmission mount, and the fact that I can obviously play with this, not that I really want to, but I'm going to have to if that's the case. I can elongate them. I can also take the pieces out and do it on the bench, so it's not being rigged by any means. And over here, because it mounts under, there's a couple of things I can do in order to make it more adjustable. I can put slots in here, but this, I think this one, the slot actually comes out to the end, because I realized I made a mistake. I cut this because it was hitting this, but I kind of cut it on an angle because this is on an angle, but it was too much on one side and not enough on the other. So that's not a huge deal. But I was also thinking I could put another piece of metal on top of here to make it come down to here, to make this kind of go over instead of under, It's not like I really measured top to bottom. I just put the jack underneath, and I did put a straight edge along here, and it hit the chassis on both ends. So now there was something in the way here, but I went in the front, and I went on this one. You see how there's like a half-inch difference between that cross member and the chassis? When I did it in the front, I had exactly that much, space. So I could tell that it was pretty much level and whatnot. I just don't know the left or right. So, obviously, they're taking a little extra time with it, because I guess people want to take care of me. They give me a break. They know what I do, kind of, and when they do that, they take forever. I really want that. I just ordered an electric fan, because this fan is going to be, because you know what it is? This fan is actually 2 inches shorter. The height is pretty much right where it was, but the bottom, it could be 2 inches down. Like here, that's where the end was, and it was curved. This is more square. So the engine might be in the same place, as far as the alignment of the crankshaft, but the other motor with the water pump was up at least 2 inches from the center line of the crankshaft. So the water pump is lower here by 2 inches roughly, maybe even 2.5. So the fan lives way down here, and then I lost 2 inches of the radiator on top of everything. So it's not in the best place as far as that's concerned, but it's not something that an electric fan can't fix. And I bought a really nice, I got it on Amazon for like $45. It's an electronic fan control, and I think it has, could be wrong, I think it has low and high speed. So that's really cool, because then you're not always hearing it, going a million miles an hour. So that's one. And the other thing is that it also has a circuit for the AC. So depending what kind of switch I have for the AC, I don't need a trinary switch then. But I might, if it goes through the same switch, and it can figure out if the pressure's too high and then shut off the fan, because just because the AC is on, you don't want to have the fan running all the time unless you absolutely need it. So that's that. What else? I got somebody interested in the motor. Hopefully they buy. They said they were going to come right away, and then they said, "Okay, I'll come tomorrow. I'll at least look at it." I was thinking maybe like you guys said, "Oh, I'm putting a modern engine in the car." He's like, "Yeah, nobody wants that engine." Blah blah blah. But he was willing to pay the money I was asking, and but I didn't. He didn't ask me to go lower, so we'll find out. I guess if money is really the pressing issue. So as you can see in the last video, I had the problem with the steering box getting real close to the exhaust. I pulled out the exhaust manifold. I'm waiting for a front wheel drive manifold, and I think that's going to work. So we'll see. I got the insulation and the this unit in. I made a I got to do something with this rubber. I suppose somebody can buy a new one, but I didn't do it. Anyway, I had to bend the rod there, as you can see. I put these extension things on to make it, to lock the nut, number one, but also to make it a little sturdier, because there's a lot of angles going on here. This bracket here goes to a hole on the outside, and I don't know if you could tell. I put one of those rings with the thing, and I put an aluminum spacer in the middle. I actually pressed it in with my vise, and it sticks out because it would interfere with the rod. That piece of insulation is blocking it for the most part, but it's not all the way tight. But I'm going to tighten it today because I want to find out exactly where all this is. I don't have a nut on the bottom here, but it should really put me in the right place. You know, came out pretty good. And that's the nut up there. I got to tighten. It had a nut in the hole. The thing is, you can't even grab it with a wrench back there. So I put a stud and I put a nut on this side. I had to poke it through, and it was a lot of crap to go get it on. So it's not moving, so it's not really a big deal. But that's the best place I can do because it's all tied into the column as well. So that's going to hold the bracket that holds up the thing there. So I'm going to get some paint and try to match this paint somehow. But this is what I did with this now. I started working on this. And after doing a lot of, I really wanted this to be bottomed out here, but then I realized I measured wrong because this unit has a spring in there that holds the thing. Like I was bottoming out the thing when I did it. Now, thank God there's enough spline, and it's tight in the spline that it's not going to be an issue. And basically what I did is use this exhaust piece here. As you can see, I put threaded holes everywhere. And that's going to tighten everything. And it's going to put my switch in for the horn. Now, unfortunately, because of this, see, I wanted the horn to be a little more buried like I had it on the cars. But the thing is that this car has so much real estate on this shaft on the outside. And I really can't bury it anywhere because then that piece. Now, if I had made the shaft longer, it would probably be a little bit easier. I don't see why I couldn't have done it but it's too late now. I cut it too much, you know, in a certain sense. But it's just so odd, this whole steering wheel thing. It's horrible on a Studebaker. It really is because it's not what you expect, you know. So and then when I was bottoming it out, I'm like, why is it buried in here? And I'm like, what the hell happened? And I realized that I wasn't lining up. This guy was if it had directional signals, this would be the cancel. So you know that's where it is. So I should be in the right area for that. And then, like I said, I got that. So the thing is, I'm going to have an aftermarket directional signal on there. And even if the customer ends up getting the column one somehow, the wire's got to be run somewhere. So this is where exactly where this line is where the shaft comes through. As you can see, this guy, the shaft comes through right where that notch is. So the notch goes there. The shaft for the shifting, you know, the shifter shaft. So it's going right in line. It's coming right out of the hole of the bracket, which I'm not sure where it is, but I had to make that bracket bigger in order to compensate the thickness here. It's amazing how much bigger this is. That being said, not much I can do, you know, when mistakes happen, you know, but it's still in the same place. But I'm going to see wires anyway for the thing, so I can kind of mask it. I was thinking of some kind of conduit that can go here. But, ultimately, if I put it down here, you might even see it more, because then the wire has to kind of wrap around. And I just figured it can all go in the same place. Whether or not I'm able to find something that'll work, I don't know. But when these get tightened up, and I use metric bolts, particularly because of these bolts that I found, like these are 1032s right here. This is the 5mm. This is the one that I'm using. I got to buy another one. But then I had these right here. And I didn't care for the small heads. I just figured, you're turning the wheel. God forbid, let's say the electric doesn't start. You're yanking it. Of course, you're yanking the center. You're not really yanking the outside. But there's a lot of torsion going on that. So you want to make sure it's pretty tight. But I didn't want to weld it, because there's so many angles here. I just didn't want to mess with the tube too much, So, and again, in order to, when all was said and done, I had the piece there. I could swear I did this right, because I knew about this hole here, but I don't know what the hell happened. Obviously something happened when I did it with my friend, and something got lost in translation, and I'm not quite sure. So this is all going to be painted the same color. It's an electric steering in a 50s car. It's amazing for what it is, but this is not something I do every day. I had to match that right there, because when I was putting it through, I could see it was coming past, and then the bolts were fighting. I'm like, why are the bolts fighting? Because that thing has to clear completely. So it not only has to clear that, it has to clear this. So I will try to get some paint and unfortunately, I got a great price on that, which is an original S10 one, which might just fits really good, but it doesn't fit on the bolt hole that's in the back of the motor, because it's really for a 3.8 engine, not a 2.8, Buick engine. So this is really cool, and it comes in a cool place. It's a little close to the coil pack, so like, if you had a bad coil wire, I could see it kind of grounding. It kind of goes right there, but it's a 90-degree coil plug, so if you face it going backwards instead of sideways towards the distributor, it'll be fine. So I may have to just make an extension like the aftermarket sticks come. They come with this little extension to put it on almost any car. I didn't want to buy that one. I didn't want to do that. But this one is way cool. It has a locking one. This is a girl who owns the car, so it's nice if she can see it in her face. I also have the option of kind of turning it to the side. I got plenty of room to do that. But then this thing is going to be longer. So it depends what I'm able to accomplish. Like I said, I got a fan coming. When the fan comes, it's going to be a modification on that too. I bought brackets. I might be able to cut off the brackets that are on there and put them on. I don't know if I'm going to bother bringing it to an aluminum welder to weld them, because I just feel like if it's not perfect, if it's not set up in the jig, it's not going to be right. So I don't want to force it and bend it. I'll put 2 sets of bolts through the new shroud, and then on the side, most likely. It really depends how it, because I can do a flat piece if it goes all the way in here. Like if I have room to just put 90-degree things going up. If not, I go right on the front here, which is the easiest way, other than the 2 bolts I have holding the thing there. So it all depends, but I'm not quite sure how it's set up, if they're on the outside or the inside. I forgot what I was looking at, but it's going to be for a Jeep, I think. It's a little taller, so I don't know how that's going to come with this in the way. This piece of weld for where the old hose was, but I'm not sure. Still got to make something for that hose. I don't know if I can make it any shorter. I could make it shorter on this side, of course, but it's a little pointy right there, and I don't really want to shape it. I don't want something there. It's going to stick out more. I think it's out of the way from the front end parts. Something tells me if I just use the bendy hose, I could have got away with not fucking putting this on. But yeah, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the fan 100%. But I can notch the thing, you know. And depending how thick this is, you could put a sensor in there, but I don't think it's very thick. This guy is from a Jeep, and it went all the way around here, which kind of nice because it clears the alternator and whatnot. It's kind of meant for it. I don't think it's supposed to go in here. I think the AC hoses were there, so that's another kind of nifty thing to use. So it's going to be pretty cool. This is seemingly big, unless I was... that does look smaller. Jesus, that would suck if I did all this for nothing. I think you can usually get it on. But I'm going to be pissed if this is not right, because I could swear it was 1.5 inches on the Jeep. I thought the Camaro was 1.25 inches. Until the later Camaro, that's when I did that one. Well, the lower one was different than the upper one. But sometimes, you know, the parts get lost in translation. They're not correct, you know, what they list them as, and I'm going by what the listings are. So this is definitely looking like it's on the small side. But I could swear I got it on there. I hope it didn't give me some other one, because I could swear I put it on, but it was like, I was like, that's not right. It's got to be like way over here, because then I looked at the Jeep radiator and I was like, oh, it's way over. So, all right, we'll see. Oh, boy. All right, my handy-dandy heat gun, and it worked. I think it's fine. It's not hurting it, you know. If I got to remove it to rotate it a little bit, because it might not be in the right rotation, perhaps. I don't have this guy all the way on. I gotta put the hoses, you know, the clamps on. So I gotta look under a hood of a Jeep online and see how this works as far as the. That's as good as it's gonna get. It's gonna, you know, the alternator is gonna be here, so it won't look funny. It looks funny now, but it's not gonna look funny with the alternator there, because it looks like you're avoiding hitting the alternator. Because then you can get close with the belts and whatnot if you go straight, just the shortest route here. So I like this in a conversion like this, when you're doing this shit. You know, it's best to not have things touch each other. So, well, all right, that's one problem averted, one at a time. All right, so I got the drive shaft back. As you can see, it was cut shorter. I didn't check to see if he did it right. He cleaned that up. I gave him that end, and he put all my joints on that I bought him. And $260 later and some balancing. Now, he did not phase it the way he said. Since it was like that originally, he started thinking about it, because there's no, you know, like, it's not a big wide one. It's this narrow one, and it's very heavy. And the reasoning that they usually had them offset like that is because there's so much weight not right, that's why they do it like that. That's how they're able to get it, because this is going to spin 3,000 to 4,000 RPM, which is exactly what it was spinning before. You know, 3,000 roughly at 55, and then 4,000 at 75. So that doesn't change the speed of it. So it's probably better just to leave it alone, he said. So it is what it is. I don't see it being a problem. I got new guys for this. You know, they're just one diameter. So hopefully all works out, you know. Why do I think this is on backwards? Interesting. I sure fucking hope not. Unless he put these in backwards, that might be the case if he took them out. Because I believe they were the other way around. Now I gotta go look at video. Oh no. Can he put it in backwards? Gee, I didn't even think about it until I got it now. So, that's interesting. Alright, I gotta look at the video. The other bit of bad news, I got the manifold in from the front-wheel drive car, and when you line it up here, that's awfully close to the thing. There's like 2 inches, you know, at best. So I'm going to try to have this cut and re-weld it in a different position. I got a guy locally that does cast iron welding too. So I'm going to see, he's going to take a look at it and see what I say. I just can't do it tomorrow because I got to work on a TV show and take it from there. It's really unfortunate. It would have been great if it was just, you know, like I said, turned. You got the thing right there. The other one was dumped right on top of it. And if this one just went straight down from where it was, that would be absolutely awesome, you know. And even straight down is not perfect because then it starts to get close to that thing right there. But in that general area right there would be good. So, not quite sure. Basically, it'd have to be cut on this line right here, like that, and then we'll rotate it. Once you rotate it, it'll get the angle. But I got to figure out what the bottom is and how I would want that, you know, because this is also at an angle here. So if it was, and then it's 60 degrees, so it's kind of like that, you know. So it might be able to be cut off straight and just, well, no, it can't be cut off straight. Yeah, it would have to be rotated with some degree here and try to figure out, like, where it's got to go. So it's got to pretty drastically change the angle. So if the angle was like this, and then rotated, but obviously you can't have the width outdo the length. So a couple of things to think about, you know. Otherwise, it's a very clean manifold. We'll see what I can do with it. Oh, holy something! I really hope that's not backwards, because then he fucked up. Okay, so it ends up being, it is right. It just, he put these back in the opposite way. This one should have been like this, because the main, you know, the most of it was here, and this was just a washer on the outside being bolted on. So I got to get the new ones to fit, and that's it. These are split. I don't know if it's split by design or they split over time. So it kind of seems like they're split, but I have a feeling, yeah, because it's not split on this side, so I think it just split over time. So fix that. And what else? Yeah, I got a few things to think about. And I got a map. And I finally got plates for this car, so I can move it and get my car. These are the bushings. And hopefully, I don't know. I bought some brackets. This is the fan. That's the other thing I gotta try. He also picked up this $40 can of custom-made paint that the guy had to do by eye. He doesn't have a computer checker, so probably should have gone to the other guy. Didn't get it perfect, but where's the spot? I gave him the pipe. I'm like, why didn't you check it on the pipe? You know, it's pretty good. It's slightly lighter, but I bought the 2-stage paint so that I have to put clear coat on it. Maybe not, you know, because it's not really a lot of sheen on here. So it depends what kind of clear coat. That could change it up, and it was a little thick, and then I spread it out. But camera's not doing it much justice, but it looks lighter on camera. But it looks a lot closer in person. But it is what it is. It's the best I can do, you know, unfortunately. And some of this could be just dirty, and cleaning it up may help a lot. So I'll see, you know. There's a lot of cleaning to do here. And, you know, I've got to take off this piece and paint it separately, probably. Mask off some of this other stuff. I probably can't do it now because I got to go to work in New Jersey at 7:30 in the morning when I'm out in Long Island. So that means I got to wake up at like 4 a.m. And it is what it is. But I do want to open up that fan and see how it fits. So obviously I told you I had to reverse those brackets. I don't know if I'm going to try to get them welded on. I might, but this one was going to fit in here better because the one for the Dodge Dart did not seem like it was going to fit. Even though it's a Dodge Dart radiator, and it's partly because of the brackets, but it shouldn't have mattered. But also, I think this was fatter, and right now, I had a hard time getting it in, but it also keeps getting hung up on those other bolts I have down there, and it's hitting the water pump bolts, which I may convert to bolts instead of that, but it still shouldn't be in the way in the end because this will be all the way in once those brackets come off, but it's tight up here, but even then I don't think it's a big deal. As long as it doesn't block the transmission lines, I should be in good shape, you know. And being that it's on top of the hose, it shouldn't be on them, so I just don't know. I'm kind of overlapping, and then it can only go bad, which is a bit of an issue. But I could notch the thing here. But it's funny how this radiator, like I didn't want to get the dark one because I really didn't have the 22 inches that they said it was supposed to be. So I was worried, you know. But I'm having a hard time here between the water pump pulley and the brackets the way they are, but I just didn't want to hack it up if I had to return it, because obviously then you can't return it. It's touching the what do you call it? It touches the hose when you come up here. Yeah, it's touching the where are you looking? You can see it, the petcock. So, this might be a big no, unfortunately. I hate returning shit, but I don't understand how they can get 22 inches, but I wonder if their measurements are just wrong, you know, because this thing is supposed to be like 21 and a half, you know. So, let me get a tape measure. Can't find my damn tape measure yet. So I decided to cut off the manifold. And I gave it this angle here. The guy said he does cast iron welding, he has cast iron rods, that's what he uses, blah, blah, blah. And I turned the wheel all the way to the driver's side, which moves the pivot arm all the way that way, because, you know, I wouldn't want to go right on top, but I did it this angle because I knew it would kind of feather outwards, whichever way I did it, because even if I did it here, that angle is achievable. This angle seems a little more likely, because you kind of just want to go straight down. This could work too, though, because you make a sharper angle to go under the bell housing there. I may have to like tack weld it and give a good look to see what I got, or see what I can get to make that angle. Like I don't know if I can go this way, because I have something here that has an angle that would work, I think, in that sense. This guy right here. So if this guy was on here, it's on the stud. Anyway, so if this guy kind of goes down like that, I don't know if this is going to work. A little too fat right there. I gotta go down and under. This is probably a pretty standard angle of some sort. And I can turn the thing. That's a little too close for comfort. The white pipe may have to be joined behind the transmission. I can't tell if this is flat. You know what? This is obviously a smaller manifold as well. So that's not the greatest. It doesn't seem like 2 inches really fits. The other one took a gasket. This one does not. I don't think that's really right. It might be. I mean, this is just the point where it may be better to take it to get done, after that. I did a good job on the other car with the Y pipe that I made. I used a whole bunch of parts from other stuff and made it work. But I think just in case, a safe bet would be to, because, if you bend the pipe, you can always get it closer to one end here. And like I said, this is probably not a true 2 inches. I was trying to find the exhaust crossover pipe that actually bolts to it. But if I can go at this angle, and it goes into that void over there, there's room for an exhaust pipe to go behind the transmission. So, and it kind of looks like it would be a 45-degree angle, and then it probably has to bend outwards a little bit too, It's not going to be perfect. But I think I should just, tack it right here. I think it's going to be okay. Right around there. This is way away. I don't know. This is just facing the firewall. It's not going to work. The slightest turn would have even been better. And you want to be able to get to the bolts and whatnot. That pretty much clears the bell housing hole here. It clears the depending on by a long shot. It does have that other piece of cross member coming down, but it should land right around there. So I don't know if I tack weld it or just put a couple of marker marks so the guy knows where to go. And depending, because it's oval now, so he's going to have to weld up something to make that work. I bet you a regular welder will work just fine on this. The cast iron is very good. It's almost like it's steel, but it's not. I'm pretty happy with that. I just wish it was bigger, to be consistent. But that's probably not going to be a big deal. So, I'm a deflated man. I'm a little tired right now. Ugh. And I'm worried that this thing is not really right. And it's not going to be right. So, when like I said, I can match the thing, but if I can sharpen it, but I can maybe match at the bottom, so it's not so bad. It's a little hard to tell when you can't go all the way in because of the brackets, but if you chop off the brackets, then you own it. I really got to find the tape measure because I got to see the numbers that they told me for this, because it seems a little short, which I expected that, but the other one, I think they clearly said it was 22 inches, and I just don't have 22. I know I don't. So I got to find this damn tape measure. All right, hopefully the guy can do something with this. My welder is shitty for this, So hopefully he can, weld it strong in the places where I haven't welded first, and then, but I had it. I would have paid a lot more money if I would have asked him to cut it, because how would he know, So I just figured I'd do it like this and let him do what he has to do. Hopefully it can be done, and that's it. And I found the tape measure. I left it under the car, and it's 18 inches here, and I got I can put 18 inches on the weld, on the top weld and the bottom weld. It just barely makes it, and because this is over an inch right here, it doesn't matter that it goes seed all the way into the quarter. If it goes over, on top of the weld on each side, it should just about make it. And I could probably notch the bottom just to give myself a little more room, where the hose goes. But it may not be necessary, so I think it'll work. So I had a little problem with this. My friend had to machine it for me down more because the element ended up being right there. I'm not even sure if this is deep enough. I'm pretty sure it is. And we were spinning on this thing, that was lined up and that was lined up, but the steering here was moving, and I thought that was funny. I know I welded it there, but, Anyway, so I'm just testing my work right now. So I'm putting a test light on there. I got the clamp on the negative, and the light lights up. And when I touch the other part, it does not light up. I actually have to touch the element only. So that's a good thing.